You thought I wouldn't do it. You thought I'd forget. Well, you were wrong. Not you viewers, I was talking to myself. Let's talk game loop. Imagine, if you will, you're playing Pikmin. Everything is great. The sun is shining. You've built up your little army. You spend 30 minutes and the sun's still there. Confused, you travel back to the base. You try to enter your ship, and it doesn't let you in. You are now permanently trapped in an endless day. You've completed all your objectives, and now you must suffer for all eternity. That's how my game was until I fixed it. Behold, the game manager. Unity was nice enough to make it a cog for me. This controls the game, activating the start, keeping track of the time, and bringing the match to an end. Because it's so special, there needs to be one, and only one of them. So, I employ a singleton, which means there's one, and only one in the scene at any given time. And if I accidentally add more than one will remain, and the rest will delete themselves. This, at the top of the screen, is the time indicator, using the Unity slider component. It has three important values: minimum, maximum, and current. If the current value is equal to the minimum value, then the dot is at this end, and if it is equal to the max, then it's at this end. Here's the rest of my math. The only really interesting thing is that I multiply the length of the day by 60 so I can measure them in minutes. Fortunately, the sun is controlled by rotation. Make this slide non-interactable so that players can't control time, and boom! The sun moves and we get this time indicator from Pikmin. Endgame stuff. What happens when we run out of time? Well, it stops counting down so the sun doesn't shine through the floor. It checks to see which team has the most units and declares that team the winner. Now, that's just for the moment. I certainly want them to know how many they had. However, that might not be entirely fair. Maybe I should include how many command posts they have, or just who had the most command posts. Something more holistic than I've got more than you. Anyway, you can win before the time runs out as well. If you ever run out of units, it sends a signal to the game manager declaring the enemy team the winner. The game manager also constantly monitors all command posts, and if they are all captured and part of the same team for a set amount of time, then that team wins. So far, there are 3 ways to win a battle. Have more units at the end of the day, kill everyone, have the most command posts for 40 seconds. Now, of course, you can always play against another player, but I want this to work as a single player experience too. So, bad guy! I clearly recognize that the player and NPC were going to need to do a bunch of the same things, so I extracted the player into a base class called Master. It controls the whistle, the throwing, and the lining up of units into flanks. The player script now seeks to connect the input controls to the Master, whereas the NPC Master script seeks to control the Master using algorithms and state machines and whatnot. I use coroutines in my code, since it's a good method of doing asynchronous methods. Method. I'm pretty sure there's a better way now, but this is the way I know how. In the behavior method, I put a forever loop. In that loop are the basic instructions. If I only have 1 unit, I have a very clear goal: make more units. Long story short, I had a strange situation where the NPC would constantly throw and recapture their own unit, or ignore the unit when it was carrying something too heavy for it. Suffice it to say, this is fixed. The NPC will collect its 1 unit if it is trying to carry something too heavy for it, and direct it to carry something that it can. Yay, soft logging! I arbitrarily chose 5 units as the limit here. If it has more than 5, it will gather them all up and march off to capture the nearest enemy command post. When it reaches 1, it throws 5 units around it to collect it and guard it. If while it's doing this it spots an enemy unit, it will check to see how many are in its group. If it has as many or more than the enemy group, it will attack, standing nearby and throwing its units at the enemy units. If it has too few, then we'll go back and try to make more. You can actually increase the difficulty of this NPC quite a bit by lowering the amount of time it waits before actions. There are so many other ways I could have gone about making this NPC. Optimize him for any of the other win conditions, directly attack the player, purposefully avoid the player, add a bit of randomness somewhere. but this basic idea is plenty for testing most of the important features of the game. And yeah, now we have a day/match cycle, ways to win the match, and an enemy to fight against. In the next video, I'll probably talk about the space battle mechanics and how I got most of those sorted out. And then I'll probably move on to the world map, which connects these two game modes. Thanks for watching, and peace be with you.